some of the details and some of the other planets that are surrounding what and where and when at the time of the eclipse. So this is the October 28th eclipse in Taurus. So welcome. If I can find the chart, let me introduce you to my little friend. Hello, you're on. I gave you that intro. Where the hell are you? Okay. And it's at 3:24 p.m. This is a lunar eclipse. So when I say lunar, right away, what do you think of? The moon. And if you didn't think of it, well, now you do. Now you know. That's important. Everything we're going to talk about is important. Let's go find it. You heard me say Taurus, so we got to go find the Taurus energy on the chart. And there's the moon. That's what we have to look for when we're looking for lunar eclipses. We're looking for the moon. And there she is. Taurus energy, 5 degrees, 9 minutes. Bam. 5 degrees, 9 minutes. See that? Taurus. Okay, so the moon, because it's lunar and it's an eclipse, it means the sun and the moon are going to be opposite of each other. So if I say the sun and the moon are opposite of each other, and I'm showing you that the moon is in Taurus, that means you know where the sun is, right? Because you know the sign that's opposite of Taurus? Scorpio. Right. So the sun is in Scorpio at 5 degrees and 9 minutes. So it's a full moon. Whenever the sun and the moon are at opposite ends, it's a full moon. But we're calling it an eclipse. And you're right. We could say, well, why don't we just call it a full moon eclipse? We could do that. We sure could. It'd be the same thing. But instead, we just it just gets squeezed down a lunar eclipse. But why is it an eclipse? Because it will be near the moon's node. And this is where it gets confusing. Because where is the moon's node? Well, because it is a full moon, which means we're following the moon, we have to just automatically see if there is a node close by, right? What's the node? Over here. That node is technically at 2454, and that's the north node in Aries. So this means we have a complex. Think about the stock broth or whatever, or some recipe you got on the stovetop, and you don't just put 1 or 2 ingredients in it. You put in layers of different levels of ingredients to give you complexity in the flavors, right? And that's what this eclipse kind of is, because it's combining not just only Taurus energy, which is desire, value, money, possibly love, self-worth even, material, tangible, physical, earth, fixed earth, Taurus. I don't like to change. My creature comforts. Like, this is what I need to feel comforted in my life. The smells, the taste, the clothing, the touch. Like, I am a freak for wool. I ain't even gonna lie. Ever since I discovered thin wool, like you can buy really nice thin wool, man, I wear it year round. It is the most absolute comfortable thing for me. And so that's my creature comfort for sure. But I'm earthy. I'm very earthy. So I don't like polyesters. I like the real stuff from the earth. Taurus. I'm a Taurus. I'm a double Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. So Venus is all about her desires. And Venus has a sweet tooth. Taurus, being a full moon, says we're releasing because we're completing. Remember full moon? We're completing something. We're releasing a value of some sort. Now, Taurus is also, because it's associated with values, it can be money and like money in the bank and on the bigger scale, like banking in general, right? Banking in general. That's not all. There's also the North Node factor, and it's in Aries. And the North Node is about where we're headed. It's about my future. The future of what? My identity, even my physical body, like the location of the physical body, or how about the appearance? The last video or a few videos ago, I was like, damn, gee, you're getting kind of round. The appearance, right? Let's not forget Aries energy. There's a lot to do with, it's like that ancient energy. So it's people who, we think of the first humanoids, right? So people who likely were not the color of me. Okay. Different color of skin, darker color of skin for sure. So we associate this with that as well because it's Aryan energy, folks, and that's what it is. And the North Node. Think about freedom. Think about the body. Think about survival and instinctual energy. Aries energy connected to the North Node. Aries, fighter. I will fight to survive. This is the Marine. This is people who sign up or people who go ahead and fight, or even people who are like officers of the law, right? That's Aries energy. I can carry a weapon. And even those who aren't serving in that way carry weapons, and that's also Aries energy, somebody who may use a weapon. So the future, what does my future look like? Is my freedoms associated with this? My location of my physical body, literally my physical body, my rights, my body, literally my choice, like all that good stuff, right? And look at this. Do you see this? The times are absolutely imperative when we talk about new moons and full moons and eclipses. The times are the big deal, which is why I showed you the time and the date. Look, vertex. Vertex is a very fast mover. Look at all this. Vertex, white moon Lilith, and the node. And even Eris, for that matter, which is the feminine fighter, Mars's sister, is there. So there's a strong vibration for feminine energy and women in general. There is anger involved because Eris is the female who has been ignored, who never had a seat at the table, who was told to sit down, to be quiet, you don't count, go in the other room. That's who Eris is. And look at this, conjunct the North Node and Vertex and White Moon Lilith. Crazy during the eclipse moment. 5 degrees of Taurus and 5 degrees of Scorpio. Where are those in your chart? I have mentioned this in the past. Eclipses will show up in your life 6 months before the actual date of the eclipse if you have something within the 2-degree orb of the eclipse. So that would mean between 3 and 7 degrees of Taurus. Between 3 and 7 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. Right? It's at both ends, folks. That's how eclipses work. So I've got the sun down at the other end, and lo and behold, look what we got. We got Mercury not too far, although it's not within orb. It's not 2 degrees away from the sun. Mercury's literally already at like 11 because it's 10:42. But we've got the sun over here at 5 degrees. Hygeia is at 0, so we're not going to include her. I'm not going to make that stretch. So we got the sun down here, but Mercury was with the sun just 2 days before. Mercury and the sun were like this. And Mercury and the sun, when they're like that, like that, like right on top of each other. Remember, Mercury is the news, it's information, it's talking, it's social media, it's siblings, it's coworkers, it's next door neighbors, it's classmates, it's peers. But it's how I talk, think, and communicate. It's doing something where you're absorbing information. You're some way, somehow learning something. Mercury is also the scribe, which is why we say news, because it's like the reporter taking information in. I'm learning about it. Now I'm going to turn it around and share it out to you. Scorpio. This can be about war. This can be about wounds. This can be of shared interest, shared energy. This can be about healing. And look at Mars, 1123 in Scorpio, along with Ceres, food in Scorpio. Scorpio energy. Scorpio is intense power, deeply intense energy, very powerful energy. This is the energy where things from the hidden can come to the surface. So sometimes we associate wounds from the past with Scorpio energy and tragic stuff happening. All that Scorpio, stellium in Scorpio, big time. Persephone's at 0. So we think of Scorpio keywords, right? Scorpio season, Scorpio keywords, talk about vulnerabilities. It's when you hear a person say, well, I'm kind of feel like, yeah, that's Cancer energy, but it's also Scorpio energy because we connect it to our intuitions. Cancer is more like I'm sensitive, I'm emotional, right? Or I can feel somebody else's emotions. Like when you're sappy in your head, Sappy and had. I did just say that, sappy and had. If you're happy and sad, right? Scorpio has the ability to penetrate another person's energetic layer. So, in other words, those deep, tragic things you experienced from the past, from a long time ago, that's where Scorpio energy goes. So there's like this intuitiveness that comes with it, because the astral realm can absolutely be very, very prominent here, where we can dip in and get information from there. And so that's also the energy of the psychic. So we always got to be careful with their Scorpio energy, because sometimes we share it or talk about it and think about it as though like this is what it is. This is truth. And we always have to be cautious. We just always have to look for confirmation and validation when we're dealing with Scorpio energy. And I'm kind of emphasizing this because of the Mercury energy, the news, Mercury and Scorpio. But let's be clear, Mercury and Scorpio may be hearing about the war in Ukraine, or a fight of some sort of a battle, right? But likely the wounds and the hurts of the past. We think of psychology and emotional wounds, and people who need help and healing energy, right? In general, the eclipse itself, we have to pay attention to Venus, because Venus rules this eclipse, because it is a full moon in Taurus, and Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So we have to find out, where is Venus at the time of this eclipse? Good news. She's in Earth. Why is that good? Well, because Taurus is an Earth sign. She's at 18 degrees in Virgo. 18 degrees in Virgo. And Black Moon Lilith is backing up on her. Venus is technically at 1848, which is 19. Black Moon Lilith is not far away. And Virgo is the details. Virgo is, I can connect the dots. Like, this makes sense because I'm looking at all the information in front of me, and I can actually build something with this. Like, I can put the pieces of the puzzle together, or I can connect all these pieces together. And the image that it makes, I got like an answer to, you see? So that's Virgo. It says, make it make sense. It should be logical. It should be rational. It has the ability to be and remain detached, and to say, well, let me look at this another way. Let me talk to somebody about this. Let me go talk to another person about this. Let me think about this a little bit longer. I don't want to make a decision based on my emotions and my feelings and my desires. Venus. So the good thing is, Venus is smart in Virgo. She is more practical. She is more down to earth. She is more about putting her desires to the side. And she's that wife who is appreciative for receiving a brand new vacuum cleaner. Venus in Virgo. Cleaning, Virgo. Housekeeping, Virgo. The details. I can see all the dirt. I can see all the imperfections. I can see how I can make this better. And Venus wants harmony. Venus can strive for perfection. So when she's in Virgo, you might find yourself like seeing every dirty little thing in your home. Like, oh my God, look at those cobwebs. Holy crap, I didn't know, right? And all of a sudden, those things become more obvious. But this can be beneficial because Juno is here as well. So this is like a partnership vibration. And look at the degrees of Juno, 433. So even before this actual eclipse, we had Juno trining that 5 degrees. You see, sextiling the sun, because the sun is part of the eclipse. And Juno doesn't move super fast. So Juno and the sun are 60 degrees away from each other. Juno is partnership energy, marriage likely. Juno is the wife of Jupiter, 60 degrees away from the sun. And it's earthy energy, which means at the time of the eclipse, it's trining the moon itself. The moon and the sun are literally the point of the eclipse. Like those degrees right there, the sun and the moon together, bam. Now, as far as the outer planets, nothing has really moved. We still have Pluto over here at 27. It's nearing the 28-degree mark, but Pluto is slow. We still have Saturn retrograding, but it is going extremely slow. It's at 0, but it's still retrograding. Remember, Saturn will stand still at 0 degrees in Pisces and move forward, but it hasn't done it yet. Everything is pretty much doing the same thing. Neptune is still retrograding. It's still sitting at 25. Even Uranus, which at the recording of this, which I'm recording this at the end of September, even Uranus over here at 2142. Uranus right now on the day I'm recording this is at 22, high 22. And so it's like a 2142 retrograding. So that's still the same. So there's not a lot of huge differences other than the private planets have moved, although we're in full throttle Scorpio season now. Whereas prior to this, we were in Libra season. You see, the psychic, powerfully intense sign, and it's all about power, intense power, but on a high level, it's power with a purpose. And as far as the eclipse, remember the release and the let go. What are you releasing? What value did you once hold near and dear? Scorpio energy naturally is about releasing because it's constantly changing and transforming. Taurus is my money, my values, me. Scorpio is shared values, our values. Think of Mars. And I know it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean Mars? What does Mars have to do with shared values? Well, think of Mars as the soldier, and a soldier is part of a unit. It's part of a group. It's we energy, believe it or not, even though it can be very independent and it prefers to go it alone. It doesn't mind it, but it's shared values. And if it suffers from a wound, it's not the only one that got those wounds. Everybody. There are no winners in war. Everybody. There's damage all around, right? So there's intense, deep trauma when we talk about Scorpio energy. And so naturally, this energy is Pluto and Scorpio, and it wants to change and transform what's hidden, what's deep. And the way it does it is it brings it up and brings it into the light and maybe shares about it, but it does something with it, maybe in a creative way, maybe in an artistic fashion, where it can help to release the energy, to get it out and to move it. And maybe others find healing in that work or whatever it was that you created. That can be painting, like literally art. That could be writing, especially because Mercury is going to be in Scorpio in this time, talking about the wounds, talking about suffering, talking about the tragic shit from the past. Mercury in Scorpio, talking about the shared bonds, because it's a full moon eclipse in Taurus. It's saying that thing I once valued, I don't value it so much anymore. There likely will be some things that she's willing to let go of, things that no longer give her comfort or things that are outdated for her. And it's going to be based on her future and where she's headed and where she's going and what her outlook is on her future, whether it's based on her identity, the way she identifies, her body, her appearance, the location of her body autonomy. Think of Aries energy. And it can also be connected to literally, do I want to be a soldier? Am I going to fight in that person's war or in that whatever war? Is it worth it? And so there might be a thing where there might be almost like an ascension of energy, because Aries energy can elevate. It can elevate and lead. And it can say, no more fighting. We throw down our weapons. You fight this war. This is the powers that be. This is their war. This is their battle. I am no more fighting your war. Whether it's the politicians' war, whatever the hell, whoever the hell, let's not make this political, but it's always the little people that are the ones literally doing the physical fighting, the ones who are being trained to hold the weapons and to have to kill other people, to take others' lives. And so if the weapons are thrown down, it can be a message that this is your war because you can't figure it out with words and with conversation, because you can't figure out another way to sort things out. So we think about our future, and we think about our freedoms, and we think about what is worth fighting for, and what are we willing to give up for certain freedoms, and what will we not give up. So it's self-value, because it's Taurus, it's money, it can be love and partnerships, and it's a release and a let go. But it's the promise of getting something in return, because this is a lunar eclipse, but it is a north node lunar eclipse, which is a promise of something new, a promise of a beginning, after we have let go and made room for the new.